Hello, and welcome back to this episode of the Silent Witness podcast. In today's episode, we will be exploring the Clutter and the Walker family murder. The Clutter murders took place on November 15, 1959 in Holcomb, Kansas. The family consisted of Herb Clutter, Bonnie Clutter, Kenyon, and Nancy Clutter. They were tragically killed by Dick Hickok and Perry Smith. After Dick and Perry killed the Clutters, they took a road trip, and during one of their stops, they were in Tallahassee, Florida, during the time the Walker murders happened. The Walker family was killed on December 20th, 1959, just 6 days before Christmas. They were shopping in a downtown and then were mysteriously killed. Could these cases have had the same killer? We will be talking with Detective Ricky Waldack, investigator Lindsay Wormser, and forensic scientist Adam Cohn. Let's get into it.
Well, Molly, since both of these cases, there's been a huge increase in new forensics technology, including facial recognition, AI, and carbon powder dots. DNA has been a thing for ages. However, it's been a huge increase in solving cases. While they had DNA for the Walker case, the DNA wasn't viable. So it's hard to say if Dick and Perry were related to the other case, and to see if they can still be considered a subject. According to Slate, quote, authorities said they were unable to match the DNA because only partial profiles could be taken from the exhumed bodies in December.
Wow, that's so interesting. Let's talk more about the history of the Clutter family and Dick and Perry.
Dick and Perry both met in jail. We learn in the book In Cold Blood that Dick first found out about the Clutters from Floyd Wells, who he had met in jail. Mr. Wells gave very specific information about the residence and drew out a map. He also told Dick that there was a teenage girl in the Clutter family, and that interested Dick to potentially rape Nancy.
So my next question is that we know in the book In Cold Blood, Dick eventually says that part of his plan for knowing from Floyd Wells that there was a little girl who was going to potentially rape, but Perry stops him. Do you guys think that for the Walker case in Florida, this was potentially motivation?
Well, I think that it's just the similarities in the cases.
Right. We also know that the way the Clutters were killed, with Herb and Nancy Clutter being shot in the head, and in the Walker case, Jameen was shot 3 times in the head. You see the similarities in the way these people were killed and the pointless doing of the crimes with no real motive.
They were also able to pass a lie detector for the Walker case.
Yes, but we know that lie detectors can be faulty, and criminals are becoming way more savvy in their ways. So it is very possible the lie detector could have been faulty and they could have been lying.
Wow, so what you're saying is that they could have passed it, but it could have been faulty.
Absolutely. The lie detector was originally created in 1921. Old technology, according to Taylor and Francis online.
Interesting you bring up newer technology because the use of DNA evidence has become very relevant today in solving cases.
Yeah, in the book, Capote includes a reference to the Walker crime and says that, quote, I remarked at the time, I said to Dick, I'll bet whoever did this must be somebody that read about what happened out here in Kansas, a nut, end quote, Capote 258.
Crazy that he would call people lunatics for committing the same crime he did.
Capote reports that Dick was impressed by the article about the murders in the Miami Herald.
The other surprising fact that we find out is both of these cases had no real motive. Dick and Perry's reason was to rob the Clutters with the money they had in the safe, but Mr. Clutter tells him we don't have one, so Dick and Perry decide to kill the family. In the Walker case, they were told that there was no reason at all. They simply just killed like the Clutters.
Just because evidence doesn't show that they directly had a hand in the Walker crime, they could have easily told an inmate in Florida about the Walkers, just like Floyd Wells told Dick about the Clutters.
I bet Capote recorded his interviews or took notes during them. There may be other pieces of information in there that might give more insight to the Walker case and potential connection with Dick and Perry.
Your point is valid, but get this. Capote never wrote down notes or recorded his interviews with anyone when writing the book. We have to trust his memory.
Shocking.
I guess we will never know.
We answered our original question about the connection with Dick and Perry to this case. With the evidence that has been presented, we know and can prove that Dick and Perry were in fact not connected to the Walker case. Now we have more questions on the legitimacy of Cody's information, but that's a whole other episode. Thanks for joining us on this episode of The Silent Witness.